I'd actually like to propose we play a game that I'd like to call Demystify Defend. So what really it's based on CAD user assumptions, and it'll allow you to clarify or demystify some of these assertions, and hopefully we'll learn something about Onshape as well. So I'll call out the drawback, and hopefully you will respond, and either one of you can jump in and respond with how you can demystify any concerns. Okay, let's hear from, okay, maybe we'll start with you, Dave. Security risks.
Yes, no, it's actually one that's used to be a lot more common, this fear of security. Truth is, I think what we'd say now is the cloud is infinitely more secure than any on-prem or file-based system that exists. The reality is anything that's not cloud-based today and secure the way Onshape is means you don't actually know where your data is or where it's been or who has access to it. With Onshape, you know exactly who's ever accessed it at any point in time, and you can control it at any moment. And I think that's a unique advantage, not a disadvantage.
Maybe we'll go to you, Darren, and ask you about internet dependency.
Yeah, so it is true. We have internet dependency, but I want to point out, and I think many of your listeners may be surprised, we run really well on mobile devices, tablets and smartphones, and you can run a lot of it on 5G. In fact, whenever you see us at a trade show, chances are we're running off a 5G network. So it is true, there's an internet dependency, but I'll say, it's ubiquitous now. It's everywhere, and it's just getting better and better. I saw some early specs on 6G, and it's supposed to be faster than Starlink. So I think that's down the road. But I think with time, any fear around internet connectivity will go away.
I think we've alluded to this a little bit already, but let's talk about provider reliability. So the risk of data loss if the provider fails to change their state terms.
Trying to how to answer that best. I mean, that's just one of those things we don't actually face, to be honest. That's not usually. Maybe I'll be really clear. That used to be a concern when Onshape was an independent small startup. Now that we're a part of a large organization like PTC with really clear legal terms that are very public, the risk is zero.
Okay, let's go to upgrade disruption. We heard 3 weeks. Mandatory automatic updates can interrupt workflows. We've talked a little bit about this, but perhaps you can expand on that.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So one of the beauties of our system, and if you haven't experienced, we encourage you to do so. It's that updates are actually transparent. There's no downtime. There's no planned maintenance. We maintain, 3 to 4 nines of uptime every year. That means we're down less than 4 hours per year if to maintain those things. In fact, if you look at our history, it's over 4 nines of uptime of availability. So when we update every 3 weeks, that's over 17 releases a year. It's completely transparent to the user. It's just like Christmas Day. You get new functionality. It's well documented. You're going to learn about it with each release, and it's literally the next time you log in, you'll have that new capability.
Let's talk about legacy system limitations. Some cloud-hosted PLM systems retain old architectural constraints. Help us understand what you can do better.
Yeah, I think the key is, as I mentioned, we started from scratch with the modern architecture in mind. And so all of those legacy and a lot of tools that have been moved to the cloud versus built for the cloud, and they're very different. I think what you'll find is we purposefully took what the best technology of today is and continue to do that with our infrastructure so that we don't get stuck in those legacy workloads or workflows, for instance. I mean, the truth is the entire industry is based around using the tools, and there's all these business processes that are put in place for these companies that slow them down because of the legacy tools. What we're really proud of is because it's a whole different architecture, whole different infrastructure, we allow the companies to fundamentally change the way they work and ideally get immense value for them and their customers.
My final one was going to be resistance to change, but I want to change that to resistance to change. And how does working with AI change the way people approach these programs?
So one of the things I'll say, you mentioned it earlier that, data is now the currency of AI or of this new economy. And, we have a system where everything is created, stored in the cloud, and it's not only the current state of your CAD model. What's interesting about Onshape is we're actually storing all the time-based information. So if you can imagine, as you're making mistakes and then fixing those mistakes as a user, all that information is actually stored and preserved with Onshape. it becomes tremendously valuable for AI to actually learn from that. And that's why we're so excited. We can imagine that you have a personal AI agent that only can access your data and can help you personally model better and avoid mistakes that you've made in the past. We are very bullish on the future with AI. We think we have the best system because of the high dimensional information we're capturing every day. And we think we can turn that into unique advantages for our customers. I want to be clear, because this is very important. When we do talk about cloud, maybe a new fear would be that your data could be used to train an AI agent for somebody else. We're very focused on making sure that we have tools that will help everybody, but when it comes to your data, it only will help you and your company. And I think that's key. So,
and maybe I'll just add one
Yeah.
last thing on AI. I think it's important just from a big picture for your audience. Your audience is mechanical engineers, and I always say mechanical engineers are great at innovating, except for innovating on how they innovate. They hate change. We all do in general, but especially mechanical engineers. What I found recently, and I'm not sure if Darren would agree or disagree, but the more this AI wave has taken hold and become this thing that everyone talks about, it's at least forced everyone to revisit their own kind of biases and where they're stuck. And so I think that for us is super exciting. I think it's a time where people are really thinking about how to do things differently. And at least from our seat, we've started to see more and more people embrace working differently. And again, maybe not just because of AI, but that energy that's been kind of infused in the market and in all of us is really exciting. And it's really something that we're looking forward to supporting in any way we can. So I'll just leave it there.
Dave and Darren, thank you so much. This was a great conversation, and I certainly see that there's a lot more that we need to unpack. So thank you very much for today, and hopefully we can do this again another time.
Happy to. Thank you so much.
Thank you.